Have you ever wondered how a single clause in the U.S. Constitution could ignite a war? Today, we dive into the inception of the Fugitive Slave Clause, a controversial provision embedded in the U.S. Constitution of 1787. This clause was crafted with the purpose of enforcing the return of runaway slaves back to their owners, a mandate that stirred a whirlpool of tension between the northern and southern states. From the northern perspective, this clause was seen as an affront to human rights, while the southern states viewed it as a necessary measure to uphold their economic structure, which was heavily reliant on slave labor. This polarizing clause didn't just cause disagreements and debates, it ignited a flame that would eventually explode into the American Civil War. As we will see, this clause not only caused division among the states, but it also played a significant role in the American Civil War. Fast forward to 1850, the Fugitive Slave Clause morphs into a full-blown law. The Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 was a direct consequence of this clause, and its enactment marked a significant turning point in the escalating tensions between the North and South. The act was part of the Compromise of 1850, an intricate package of 5 bills, attempting to strike a delicate balance between slave and free states. But the Fugitive Slave Act was anything but balanced. It mandated that all escaped slaves were to be returned to their masters and that officials and citizens of free states had to cooperate in this law enforcement. The act even imposed penalties on those who aided in a slave's escape, making the North complicit in the institution of slavery. This law was met with fierce opposition in the North. Many Northerners, who were previously indifferent to slavery, were now forced to participate in the institution. This law made the issue of slavery not just a Southern problem but a national one. The act aggravated the already fraught relations between the North and the South, further entrenching their ideological divide. In a sense, the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 brought the issue of slavery to the doorstep of every American home. It turned abstract political debates into tangible moral dilemmas. The act provoked a wave of outrage and resistance among abolitionists and even moderate Northerners, fueling the flames of the abolitionist movement. It led to increased activism, including the Underground Railroad, a network that helped escaped slaves reach freedom in Canada. As the North resisted, the South grew increasingly defensive of their peculiar institution of slavery. The act became a symbol of Southern power and Northern subjugation, further polarizing the two regions. It was a stark reminder that the issue of slavery was not going away quietly, but was a powder keg waiting to explode. The Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, a product of the Fugitive Slave Clause, was a catalyst for the Civil War. It didn't just shift the dynamics between North and South, it fundamentally altered the American landscape, setting the stage for the most devastating conflict in the nation's history. Now, let's delve into the heart of the matter: how this clause influenced the Civil War. The Fugitive Slave Clause and its offspring, the Fugitive Slave Act, were catalysts in the escalation of the Civil War. Their implementation created a chasm between the North and the South, a divide that wasn't just about a line drawn on a map, but a moral and ethical divide that would shape the nation's history. The South, an agrarian economy heavily reliant on slave labor, saw the clause as a necessary protection of their economic interests. The North, however, with its growing abolitionist sentiment, viewed it as an abhorrent extension of slavery's reach. This tension was more than just a disagreement. It was a battle for the soul of a nation. The clause essentially deputized every citizen, making them complicit in the perpetuation of slavery. It mandated the return of escaped slaves, even those who had made it to the so-called free states of the North. This was seen by many Northerners as a stark violation of their state's rights, fueling resentment and resistance. The Fugitive Slave Act, passed in 1850, only amplified these tensions. It not only reinforced the clause, but also imposed severe penalties for those who aided escaped slaves or refused to participate in their capture. This further deepened the divide, causing outrage in the North and solidifying the South's resolve to protect its property. The impact of these laws on the Civil War cannot be overstated. They ignited a spark that would soon become an inferno. The North, enraged and disillusioned, rallied for the abolition of slavery, while the South, feeling threatened and marginalized, clung tighter to their peculiar institution. This divergence set the stage for a conflict that would tear the nation apart. The Fugitive Slave Clause and Act, thus, played an undeniable role in the unfolding of the Civil War. The battle lines were drawn, not just geographically, but morally, ethically, and ideologically, forever changing the course of American history. So, what happened after the war? And how did this clause play into the aftermath? In the wake of the Civil War, the nation was left grappling with the remnants of a deeply divided society. The Fugitive Slave Clause, a contentious piece of legislation that had once fueled the fire of conflict, was now nullified by the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery in 1865. This amendment was a significant turning point in American history, marking the end of centuries-old institution of slavery. However, the repercussions of the Fugitive Slave Clause were not so easily erased. The clause had legitimized the idea that enslaved people were property, not individuals with inherent rights. This perception had seeped deep into the fabric of society, and its effects were far-reaching. Even after the abolition of slavery, the former enslaved people and their descendants faced systemic racism and discrimination, a grim legacy of the clause that persisted for generations. Furthermore, the clause had set a precedent for federal enforcement of state laws regarding slavery. It had shown that the federal government could and would uphold laws that were fundamentally inhumane. This realization led to a deep-seated mistrust among many citizens towards their government, a sentiment that still echoes in various forms today. In spite of its nullification, the Fugitive Slave Clause continued to shape American history in profound ways. It underscored the need for constant vigilance and activism in the pursuit of justice and equality. It served as a stark reminder of the nation's past, a past that had been marred by the inhumanity of slavery. The clause also played a crucial role in the evolution of the American legal system. It prompted a reevaluation of the balance of power between the federal government and the states, a debate that continues to influence American politics and law. The Fugitive Slave Clause, while nullified, left an indelible mark on American history. It's a testament to the struggles fought, the injustices endured, and the continuous journey towards equality and justice for all. Now, to wrap up our journey through this pivotal piece of legislation, the Fugitive Slave Clause, an often overlooked part of the U.S. Constitution, played an instrumental role in shaping the course of American history. This single sentence not only fueled the fire of the American Civil War, but also held a mirror up to the nation, forcing it to confront its deep-seated issues of slavery and equality. The Fugitive Slave Act of 1850, born from this clause, became a tool for Southern slaveholders to reclaim their so-called property, escalating tensions between the North and South. The clause's impact on the Civil War was profound, as it further divided a nation at war with itself over the concept of human freedom. In the aftermath, the abolition of slavery marked a significant turning point, showing the ultimate triumph of human rights over property rights. So the next time you ponder on the complexities of history, remember the Fugitive Slave Clause, a single sentence that ignited a war and changed a nation.